Welcome back to the Great Commission Alliance Media Channel and the Best Facts Apologetics Answers show. We have come to the end of our interview with Ken Samples, philosopher, author, researcher, theologian, and so much more at Reasons to Believe. You can find out more about Reasons to Believe at reasons.org. We've been interviewing Ken about his new book, Christianity Cross-Examined. It's been an exceptional interview. If you've missed the past questions that I asked him, you can get all of those at the Great Commission Alliance Media Channel on YouTube. Well, Ken, we've come down to the very last question. I'm so thankful for your time. I want to ask you about the book. What inspired you to write Christianity Cross-Examined? And why do you think believers should read this book? Sell it to us. Convince us to go buy this book this afternoon.
Well, Nate, let me say, first of all, thank you for having me on your program. This has really been enjoyable to me, and I hope your listeners will support what you're doing. I think the work you're doing is very, very significant, and I'm glad we can come on and talk about important ideas. You know, I think that one of the reasons definitely that I wrote the book is, as I mentioned, I think maybe in our first episode, 30 years ago when I was doing the Bible Answer Man in the late 1980s, early 1990s, most of the questions then were about truth. Does God exist? Is Jesus the Son of God? Can we know that he rose from the dead? But moving forward 35 years, we have lots of people who are asking kind of different questions. It's not that they're not asking truth questions, but they have a lot of questions about whether God is good, whether Christianity has been good for the world. And I think what might be somewhat unique in the structure of my book, Christianity Cross-Examined, is the first half of the book, the first 6 chapters, they really focus on the truth questions. I examine Christianity from a scientific, philosophical, logical, rational point of view. The second 6 questions relate to Christianity's goodness. Has Christianity been good? You know, what about the Crusades, the Inquisition? What about genocide and slavery? What about the divisions within Christianity, hypocrisy, etc.? So I think that there might be a unique component in that I'm trying to be sensitive, that you have truth questions, which is kind of expresses what we call in philosophy modernity. But now you have a lot of postmodernity or postmodernism where people are skeptical about whether anyone could know truth. And so they shift to the question of whether something has really been good. You know, what I hope, Nate, people will consider here is, you know, C.S. Lewis talked about, Lewis was a soldier in the First World War. In the Second World War, he went on the BBC and gave talks about Christianity, but he also spent time at air bases. In World War II, the casualties among the pilots and the people who served on the aircraft, the mortality rate was just through the roof. And so he would go to the bases, and he knew a lot of these young men were not coming back. You know, today we think maybe 75 million people perished in World War II. Well, Lewis realized that as an Oxford Don, he could not go and talk to just everyday average British citizens with his kind of Oxford speech. He had to speak to them. He had to take complex ideas and communicate them clearly and simply. And Lewis influenced me in the sense that I try to take complex ideas, but I try to think about them enough where I can talk about them simply and clearly. That is, where I can take substantive ideas and make them accessible. I'm not as good as C.S. Lewis at that, but I really have endeavored to do that in this book. And I think that the book has substance, but I think many people at diverse places in their education can get a lot out of the book. And if they do, I will be, deeply delighted by that.
Wonderful. Well, I encourage people to pick up Christianity Cross-Examined along with your other books. I'll remind people of those again. We have Classic Christian Thinkers. We have 7 Truths That Changed the World, God Among Sages. Those are a few of yours. But if you go to reasons.org, you'll see a whole collection of incredible books that will always point you back to the truthfulness of the Christian worldview. And they'll give you good evidence to defend your faith as well. Well, Ken, this is the end. You have any last words of encouragement for our audience before we close out this interview?
Well, again, I want to thank you for having me on, and I want to encourage your listeners to really get behind your ministry, your work here, your channel. I hope that they'll support you financially, support you in prayer, and I want to express our appreciation, Nate, for having some of the RTB scholars come on your program. So may the Lord bless you, and may you continue to challenge and instruct your listening audience.
Thanks so much, Ken. We'll have you again soon.